We are so back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cat Prisci'S agrees Lololo. Lola Lolo, I am reading y'all. My brodas ha-hee-hee-hee. And welcome to another PrisciTV. We are so back. Men, sorry I break the streak. I know. I said this year I will never skip a stream, but bugs happened. Bug, we fight back and we win. The place is clean. I'm glad about it. Thanks a lot for making all this possible. How y'all been doing these days without Prisci? For me it had been sleeping and meds. Right now the climate is wild. And this climate changes always affects me pretty bad. When is so drastic, the humidity and such. These days I had been feeling sicko mode, but in hospital they took care of me of everything. Besides it, before streaming the climate was wild, the AC was barely noticeable. Don't worry, I had been drinking water. Don't worry. Let me read y'all. I was telling y'all all this. My brodas, thanks y'all so much for the train. Where is my anti-bug gun? Well, I'm not a fumigator. But I love Doom though. Actually, one of my first streams were Doom. If I am not wrong, it was Fortnite, Doom, and Donkey Kong. My brodas, again, thanks for making this possible. The place is clean, no bugs, and I was took care on hospital. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Secret Prisci'S project? Wow, wow, wow. Voice is installing Linux. Good luck. Don't worry, Ace, I am here. Lolo. Sorry if I am delayed on the chat, I am trying to read. Gail, thanks you for the 38 months. Thanks for the long time support. Prisci'S? Discord Prisci'S. I am here now. Hey, enjoy the city moppy. Not the Fortnite? I am a good player. I promise I worth watching me play. I used to love FPS. But for now is a no-no. Me hitting the gritty in Fortnite. OMG Lololo. Me playing Fortnite was always last 10 or 5 always. Someday I will show y'all again my FPS pro skills lol. But yeah, probably not the best, but I think I am good. Hi to hum. OMG, I would love to play FPS for y'all, Mad Jack. But all when I can. Thanks, CVJ. Lololo FPS is an FPS. Lololo. My bad. Bruh moment no aura. Not me clowning with the FPS. Lolalol. Capture the flag is fun. Peak strategy lol. Hello robot knave. I searched deadlock. New Valve game. Says as 2023. No food pick? Ace, I just saw the 37 streak. Chosen 1. 37.
Prisci 37
Lolo.
Prisci love.
Lolo. King Crunchy, thank you for the 31 months. That looks mega good. Enjoy. Enjoy, enjoy. Fortnite is fun. Enjoy Bixby. My brodas, today we starting the weekend, unboxing the weekend. Is Friday, yay. So let's have fun. I look at the vids y'all send and I wanna watch it, so shall we? Let's start. Get comfy and enjoy.
This is Trenchfoot, a tiny walking fish with a cute face, periscope eyes, and a stubborn personality.
I am that.
Tiny walking fish with a cute face, periscope eyes, and a stubborn personality. Mudskippers are smarter than people realise. They learn routines, recognise patterns, and can even solve problems. So this got me wondering, is it actually possible to bond with a fish? A question I never thought I'd ask. So for the next 30 days, I'm going to give this a go. And it all begins on day 1. Before we get into the bonding, Trenchfoot needs a home. But the problem with the mudskipper tanks is that most people get them wrong. They need mud, mangroves, brackish water and a tidal system, and 7 days after I started, the mangrove ecosystem is finally ready for Trenchfoot, who is seemingly very eager to get in there. But as he explored his new home, I started to get a sense of how comfortable he actually was around me. Clearly, he is not very comfortable around me, and if we are ever going to form a bond, there are a few things we must do. First, he needs to start eating. After that, he must accept food from my finger. And finally, Trenchfoot must show how much he trusts me and hop onto my hand and let me hold him. Now these might sound simple, but on
Bro is just there existing.
day 8, I made a huge mistake. Mudskippers can live in groups if there's enough space, and with the idea of Trenchfoot being lonely in his home, I thought I'd get him a friend. I'd like you to meet Nelson. Now I chose the name Nelson for a very good reason, and that reason is as follows. Nelson Muntz has claimed the entire land area as his own, and Trenchfoot is resigned to spending his time in the corner. But to make this worse, over the 2 days since Nelson went in, Trenchfoot hasn't been able to eat because Nelson keeps stealing his food. If I don't act now, then we won't tick off that first goal and Trenchfoot may starve. The defining characteristic of a fish is that they spend 100% of their time underwater, which is why mudskippers are so interesting, because they spend 95% of their time out of the water. Mudskippers are fiercely territorial, and right now, Nelson owns everything. Trenchfoot has nowhere safe, which means he's too stressed to eat, so I need to give him a territory of his own, a place Nelson can't see him, and that's where this balloon comes in. Mudskippers use burrows as safe hideouts, so if I bury this balloon in the mud, cover it, pop it and pull it out, I should be left with a tiny mudskipper burrow, a private space for Trenchfoot, somewhere he can finally feel safe and hopefully come out to eat. On the morning of day 11, I noticed that Trenchfoot was still in his burrow, so I placed some worms on the feeding stone, and within a few seconds, Nelson made his way over and started to eat. But he jumped away, and this is Trenchfoot's window. Come on, little buddy, you haven't eaten in 3 days. You are looking at the face of a very satisfied mudskipper, and goal number 1 is ticked off. But if you thought that world peace had landed in the mangrove, then I'm afraid you're very much mistaken. Nelson Muntz is still a bully, and that means there is only one thing left for me to do. I'm just kidding, I did not flush Nelson down the toilet, but he is now in a new home, and Trenchfoot has the mangrove to himself, and this makes the next goal so much easier. Or so I thought. A mudskipper tank might not be pretty. The water is murky, the mud is, well, muddy, and the mangroves haven't quite settled in yet. But it's actually a perfect home for our little protagonist. It's been 3 days since Nelson departed, and Trenchfoot has a newfound wave of confidence. The land area belongs to him now, and he is the king of this mudflat. What's amazing is that he's becoming more comfortable with me, and will make his way over whenever I offer him food. But he always stops short of accepting it, even if he really wants it. It's like there's a big red button in front of him. He wants to press it. He knows what happens if he presses it, but he can't bring himself to do it. Just look what happens when my finger isn't there. And when it is there, he moves away. That finger has become the only thing holding him back. But here's the thing. Every single time that finger appears, food appears too. So I just kept trying. Same place, same finger, same routine, again and again and again. And slowly, the finger stopped being something to fear, because it didn't mean danger. it just meant food. By day 20, Trenchfoot made the choice for himself and started eating straight from my finger, which means there's only one step left in this process. But before we get there, it's worth understanding why a fish like this would even walk in the first place. Mudskippers live in mangroves, estuaries and mudflats. Sometimes these environments are underwater, sometimes they're completely exposed. But in these ecosystems, the water can run dangerously low in oxygen, so instead of staying submerged, mudskippers evolved the ability to breathe air. They still use gills underwater, but they can also absorb oxygen through their skin and hold air in their gill chambers, which means that being on land isn't a problem for them. Those fins act almost like elbows, pushing against the mud, with their tail helping to drive them forwards. So for a fish that spends much of its life out of the water, my hand was never going to feel that strange. Ever since he started eating from my finger, Trenchfoot waits for me at the door every morning. It's kind of become our little routine. In the 30 days since I've had this little fish, I've watched him change, from being bullied and hiding scared in the corner, to a confident mudskipper who will eat straight from my finger. But we have one more step to take. Has a fish ever willingly walked onto the hand of a human? I have no idea, but at this very moment, I have never felt so bonded to a fish in my entire life.
Takes a long time to be a fish friend.
As he hopped off, I thought I'd try again, and he hopped on not once, but twice more, and my bond with Trenchfoot feels like it's just beginning. Oh my God. And with that, quietness fell on the mangrove. Nothing fills me with more happiness than a tank filled with mud, mangroves, slightly salty water, and a tiny fish called Trenchfoot, who waits for me every morning so he can get his breakfast. There is plenty more to come from Trenchfoot, but in the meantime, check this video out.
What a lil fish. Cute. To be friend with a fish, the dream. Being
Wow.
friends with animals always
Putting
sounds
some
like
red
a
in
cool
that boring
thing.
gray bar.
Being friends with animals always sounds like a cool thing. Mad Jack thanks you so much. Thanks you a lot. Yeah, the eel petting. Saw it. Eel friend. My broda's next vid is: why do animals keep evolving into crabs? Will I become a crab soon? Well, I guess so, since my color. I am already turning red.
You are evolving into a crab. Well, probably not anytime soon, but this is real, and probably the strangest phenomenon that's still happening today. Many animals in the wild that weren't crabs have now evolved into crabs. Take a look here. This is not a crab. This is not a crab either. In fact, nothing I'm showing you right now is a crab. They've all just, slowly, over millions of years, become more and more like one. This phenomenon has been so widely studied in science that it has its own name, carcinization, which, if you translate from Latin roots, essentially means crabization, the tendency for things to become crabs. Of course, this sounds ridiculous, because it is. But when we look into nature, we see this effect happening everywhere. Some did it millions of years apart. Some did it in totally different oceans. Some weren't even remotely related. But why does it seem like this is the ultimate life form for all animals? What stops us from evolving into crabs next? And will all roads always lead to crab? This crabification effect has been joked about online, with hundreds of memes about crabs being the epitome of all life. And well, this is actually right. Scientifically, this is peak performance. But how do we know this? Well, the best explanation for this goes back to an effect called convergent evolution. Essentially, this is when two different organisms that deal with similar challenges end up evolving the same traits independently. If you've watched our video about massive squids, you'd know that two different squids have both evolved to become massive, even though they're completely different species. Being giant benefited them both, so both became giant. But why crabs, and why do we see this so often? To get that answer, we need to understand what crab-like actually means. Because not every creature that looks like a crab is a real crab. Some, and actually most crabs, are just evolutionary imposters that ended up looking like them. A crab-like body usually has a wide, flat shape that keeps the center of gravity low and makes the animal stable. That flattened design also lets it slip under rocks, hide in tight spaces, and avoid getting flipped over by waves or predators. Because the last thing you want is to end up like this. Crab-like bodies also obviously have a shell, but it's more than just armor. It turns the entire body into a compact tank. When your whole shape is basically a shield, you survive a lot more things than creatures with long exposed segments, like lobsters or shrimp. Crabs also have short, powerful legs that give them insanely good control over their movement, hence why they can move like this. Oh, not like that, I mean like this. They're actually better at moving sideways, which helps them dodge predators while still being able to face them. But this raises a really interesting point. If the crab shape is so effective, why isn't everything turned into lobsters instead? Lobsters are strong, armored, and successful too. So why don't we see lobsterization? They're still alive today, clearly they've also survived millions of years. Well, the lobster body plan is actually way harder to modify. Lobsters have long, segmented bodies with big tails, and that layout limits what evolution can do with it. You can't flatten a lobster without breaking half its anatomy. The moment you try to squash that long tail under the body the way crabs do, the whole structure stops functioning. Crabs, on the other hand, start with a compact shape that's incredibly easy to tweak. Their body plan can widen, shorten, armor up, or shift direction without ruining their movement. Once you become crab-shaped, it's very stable. Species rarely stretch back out again. Becoming lobster-like again would require re-elongating the abdomen, re-changing musculature, re-modifying tail fins, and restructuring the whole body. Those changes are much harder to evolve than
Giant Prisci'S incoming? This is how peak performance looks. Lol.
Then simply shortening the body and tucking the tail. Carcinization is mechanically easy. Lobsterization is mechanically expensive. So who was the first crab to become a crab? Well, technically, the earliest true crabs, the infraorder Brachyura, showed up over 200 million years ago, back before dinosaurs were even alive. But the interesting part is that they weren't alone, because around that same time, other crustaceans that weren't even part of the crab family tree started evolving into crab-shaped forms too. We don't call Brachyura true crabs because they were somehow more authentic or more biologically superior. Most of it is, they were simply the ones we discovered first. Back when scientists were first trying to categorize animals, they had no clue about genetics or evolutionary history. They were working purely on appearance. So animals in the Brachyura group, the flat, wide-bodied creatures with the tucked-in tail and sideways walk, were what we defined as the real crabs. In a way, these are the first animals to become crabs, real crabs themselves, which sounds really redundant, I know, but it does point out the fact that they are included in the effect of carcinization. They didn't create the design themselves, we just dubbed them the official crabs. So what other crabs are there that aren't real crabs? Well, the most famous imposters are king crabs. Genetically, king crabs are actually giant hermit crabs that evolved out of the living in a snail shell strategy. Their ancestors used to carry shells on their backs, just like the tiny hermit crabs you see on beaches. But over millions of years, they evolved a hardened body of their own, lost the need to swap shells, flattened out, widened, and slowly shifted into a crab-like shape, because that was what was effective. Even though king crabs and true crabs look way more similar on the outside than king crabs and hermit crabs, they come from completely different branches of the crustacean family tree. Their last common ancestor wasn't a crab. It was some primitive crustacean hundreds of millions of years ago. We obviously can't say for sure what they look like, but they definitely didn't look like crabs. It's interesting, because anyone who's eaten king crab versus normal crab with any frequency would usually be able to tell the difference from their taste, which would make sense since they aren't the same animal. But what other things have turned into crabs? Well, take a look at porcelain crabs. Okay, wait, is everything that's not a crab called a crab? See, part of the problem is, everything that looked like a crab when we found them was named to be one, and now that's what they're named. It's kind of hard to change, even if we actually understand how the ancestral lineage works now. Porcelain crabs belong to the order Anemura, the same branch as the squat lobsters, and they're actually incredibly similar to them, but just with a squat lobster shape. They don't fight like crabs though, and their shells break much more easily, almost as if they're made of porcelain. However, if you were some unassuming explorer and saw these guys, I mean, who wouldn't call them a crab? And carcinization has occurred in crab-like species before crabs even existed. Fossils like Eocarcinus and Eoprosopon show that carcinization has been happening long before true crabs even existed. We see this same body type with flat, wide bodies and tucked-in tails over and over.
Lol voice.
As if evolution can't help but just keep wanting to make more crabs. But if being a crab is such an ultimate life form, then where are these crabs now? Well, most of these early photo crabs are actually completely extinct now. The problem was, they literally weren't good enough at being crabs. Some lacked the hardened shell true crabs eventually evolved. Others didn't have the right leg structure for that sideways, ultra-stable movement, and a few were living in environments that completely collapsed during mass extinction events like the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs, which I guess is not entirely their fault. But even if their descendants didn't survive, evolution remade their crab design again. It's built into the way our universe works that crab-shaped bodies will
Peak eating.
continue forming, as these are just effective builds for crustaceans. The crabs of today are the most successful crab designs that have existed so far. But what else can or will turn into crabs? The scary answer is anything in the right environment. We've seen tons of animals drift towards this crab shape. Even some shrimp lineages are showing early signs of flattening out and tucking their tails, the first baby steps on the long road to becoming a crab. But in reality, this process only really affects crustaceans to the full or any extent. We won't actually be seeing lions becoming crabs anytime soon. Their builds are for completely different environments. Humans, especially being the dominant species on this planet, are not likely to evolve into crabs either. You're safe, for now. But something really interesting to look at is that other animals have evolved similar body shapes as crabs for similar reasons, even if they're not crustaceans at all. Take stingrays, for example. They aren't crabs, not even close, but they ended up with a body shape that's surprisingly similar in principle. A wide, flattened body that's built for stability on the seafloor. Just like how crabs flatten out to stay low, resist currents, stingrays flattened out to glide through open water with almost no drag. So does this mean stingrays are becoming crabs too? Well, no. But they are shaped slightly similar for a similar reason. A case of partially convergent evolution. It's not carcinization, it's not stingrayization either. It's just flatization. Everything is relative after all. You see these examples of partially convergent evolution in animals all the time actually. We just don't often think about it. Look at dolphins and sharks. These two animals could not be more different biologically. Sharks are ancient fish with skeletons made of cartilage. Dolphins are warm-blooded mammals that breathe air, nurse their young, and are more closely related to cows than to anything in the ocean. Yet, put them side by side, and they both ended up with almost the same streamlined,
Shark looks line tuna. Shark looks like tuna. Like the shape. But without the fin.
torpedo-shaped bodies, because that shape is simply the most efficient way to move fast through water. If you want to cut through the ocean with low drag, stay stable at high speeds, and use as little energy as possible, evolution starts pushing you towards that same sleek, pointed design. If you want to stay close to the seafloor, you end up becoming flatter. Birds, bats, insects, even pterosaurs all figured out the same basic design because the physics of flight leaves you with only a handful of options that actually work. The environment that we live in only gives us a select amount of blueprints available to choose from. It's not that everything is becoming crabs. It's that everything that fits these kind of environments is turning into this highly effective shape. And we just call this a crab. We, fortunately or unfortunately, won't see any animals fully crabify in most non-crustaceans because crustaceans already have the perfect body layout for turning into crabs. Their shells can widen, their tails can fold under, and their legs can shift sideways without breaking their whole design. Other body plans don't have that flexibility. Wings, for example, need very specific structures and muscle setups, so only a few groups ever evolve them. A lion or a lizard doesn't have the starting blueprint to flatten into a crab or grow wings without losing its ability to function, ignoring that being a crab wouldn't even help in their environment. Carcinization isn't really some universal evolutionary destiny. It's just a repeated outcome in a certain group of animals that are able to become crabs. Unfortunately, as diverse as the world is, evolution can't come up with new ideas constantly, and crustaceans just happen to be built in a way that keeps funneling them into becoming crabs. Thank you guys for watching. At the time this video was made, we've just hit 50,000 subscribers, which is absolutely insane. I can't thank you guys enough. If you want to see more from me, check out this video about prehistoric gigantism. And whatever you do, don't turn into a crab.
Now I'm turning into a crab. Exactly, evolving into crab. Seems is the best. Seems the best. Crabski 37. Crabsy 37. Crabs I happy 37. Crabsy happy 37. Crabsy sad 37. A crab emote. Another crab. The crab army is showing up. Damn. Is crab-tastic. Lolololo. Prisci'S crab 37. Prisci'S crab laugh 37. Sorry, I am kinda dumb. My bad. Teehee. Lolololo. One crabby brain cell? I wonder how many brain cells that's on human. The only one we share, hey. I am using it right now. Do not take it away from me. Not right now, I am streaming. Lololo.
Yeah.
Prisci'37 Prisci' love.
Gems, thanks you so much for the 31 months. Prisci' Crab 37, thanks. Pincers clap. Lolololo. Can crabs clap? Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark.
This is your daily dose of internet. The arcade managers hate to see this guy coming.
You do not start on the toy. Okay. You start over the hole. And we swing like this in one direction. Okay. When it's facing the toy, that's when you drop it. Go down, grab it.
I didn't get it.
Hello everyone, this is your daily dose of internet. The arcade managers hate to see this guy coming.
You do not start on the toy. Okay. You start over the hole. And we swing like this in one direction. Okay. When it's facing the toy, that's when you drop it. Go down, grab it.
Can you see where the water comes out here?
No. It's so.
Bro is on a hurry.
It's so cold when I turn the heat on, even my car don't like it.
Car is screaming.
Car don't like it.
The snowplow driver saw a snowman in his path and decided to save it.
Cute.
Aiden! I got your spot right here. Over here. Yeah. Right here. Yeah.
Hi lemonade lol.
Yep. Aiden Alfonso. Second year kinesiology. Yep. I got you, bro.
They use artillery cannons to trigger avalanches so that they clear unstable snow after storms.
This is some Mulan Ah tactic.
Are you stupid? Take a bow.
They found a super cool way to wrap strawberries in marshmallows. This police officer wasn't playing around. This fish didn't want the shell.
Opponent obliterated. Board conquered. Beer is dispatched.
What? That is crazy.
This alligator stuck its snout out of this frozen lake.
OMG. Have you ever show your pet themselves in a mirror? And how they reacted?
This is number type image which can be both negative and a positive at the same time, depends on the background. It's a true magic of collodion photography.
This man rage baited his dog.
Oh my god, who is that?
These guys made an ice carousel on this frozen lake.
They are confused when small. Cats don't care lol.
These guys made an ice carousel on this frozen lake.
2 rollers.
Yeah, Lance gonna try to match the roller. Hits the tree, but gets a favorable redirection.
Oh my god. No way that just happened. That was amazing. Oh.
Double amazing.
Oh my god! What are we doing? What are we doing, eh?
These rings of ice look so cool. These are the 2,000-year-old doors of St. John Lateran. Researchers found a jellyfish that is the size of a school bus. Why didn't he just let go?
Bob, thanks for the follow. We watching vids and becoming crab. Bro received pure water.
Alright, my freaking head hurts from my headset.
OMG Lolo the face after throwing the water. Is like have this.
These are the recent auroras from the International Space Station.
Oye, ¿no tienes de esta?
Ah, creo que sí la tengo, güey.
Oh my gosh.
You, let right. You.
OMG, mom is here, give me a second. I really don't want to hear this lololol. Give me a moment.
This is a group of fire ants that have actually built an ant bridge, and they're crossing the stream. Look at this. They've actually built a bridge with themselves on the little bit of plant material, and they're crossing right over to the other side.
I have never seen a fish scream before. I found this YouTuber who made a moving computer case. This is what happens when you spin threads at a high speed.
Sorry, I will need to go after this vid.
Kamicat. Kamicat.
Mama. Met stokjes.
Buenos días, señores.
Buenos días.
A sus órdenes.
Cute. Cute. Cute.
This little dude accidentally won the race.
OMG.
Hadi. Abi önümde nasıl alamıyorum ya?
Why does this dog have abs?
Not sure why we're so dramatic for the eye drops this morning. So dramatic. Just like the end of the world. Just watch. Hey.
This is my iPad case that I worked on till 3 in the morning. So it goes like this, and it goes like this. And if
Wow.
you don't want it to lean up, then you can just fold it backwards. So then it's just like that.
What are you?
Lol. Lol.
This is Devil's Pool, a 100-meter high waterfall located at Victoria Falls in Zambia.
Hell nah.
I've never heard rock music quite like this. He had to build up the courage to confront the lizard.
Lolololo. Lolololo. That is big.
He had to build up the courage to confront the lizard. That is this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Later.
Clap, 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 crab clap. Crab clap, crab clap.
바치바치바치바치. 바치바치바치바치. 가니.
Thanks a lot, voice. My brodas, it's time for this vampire to resto. Thanks for being here and welcoming me. Thanks for being here like a lot. I had fun watching vid. We got a crab moment that was fun, thanks. Please take lots of care. And drink lots of water. I will see y'all tomorrow for more crab-tastic moments. Have a nice start of the weekend. Drink water. And please donate plasma if you can. Take lots of care.
Mattane Chatto-san.
Madan Chato-san.
Matan Chato-san.
See y'all. See y'all.
See y'all.
See y'all.
And.
And.
Bye-bye.
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 Bye-bye. Lolalol. Thanks a lot for today. Thanks a lot. Take lots of care.